You guys there?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
You guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
You're up.
Oh, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition. Merely Beau and the Great Z on a sun-kissed Tuesday. It's a Tuesday.
Oh, baby.
It's Tuesday?
It is. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. It is. Tuesday.
The next level is next.
Man, that would be fun. Get out there and chase the ball around. So I got to first, we'll start with a little bit of the news of the day just because we got to get that out of the way.
Which would you like to do first?
We'll start with Greg Newsome.
Did something happen?
No. Actually, nothing happened, but there was a report that something had happened. Well, I guess something did happen. He has switched agents. He is now going to be represented by Drew Rosenhaus, who supposedly was in the building, met with the Browns today. And according to Adam Schefter, Rosenhaus met today in Cleveland with the team to discuss Newsome's future role there. Greg is happy to be with the Browns. Everything was very positive, and Greg is happy with his role and playing for new defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. And that all comes out because there was a report earlier today that Greg Newsome, source Browns Greg Newsome would like to be traded. And so that all of a sudden it came out. He is not asked to be traded. Greg himself says, okay, y'all sit back a minute. Let's think about this together. I just launched a softball game in Cleveland. I'll just leave it there. He went on to say a few other things, which basically made it seem that, obviously he's not going anywhere. He's happy. We're here for the long haul family, he said in response to a tweet from Juan Thornhill. Javante Moffitt, who's been with the Browns, said that man loves Cleveland more than y'all. He's not requesting nothing.
Yep.
So, and long story short, much ado about nothing. I have a source who's very, very close to Greg Newsome.
Oh, I bet you do.
Almost, incredibly close. And he said he wants to stay a Brown and loves how the city embraces him. So, look, I think there is some frustration. I think Greg Newsome obviously would love to be a full-time outside corner. Yeah. The good news for Greg is that he still plays pretty much all the snaps. He is someone that is obviously thought of very highly by this organization. He is got the ability and the talent to play inside and outside, and I understand wanting to just get great at one role, but you look at the way our corner room is, that's what it's going to be. And this all kind of stemmed from, if you recall earlier, when he basically, somebody on Twitter had said something, he's like, yeah, I'm not playing in the slot anymore. Well, he's going to play in the slot, and he's going to play outside most likely. But it's not like he's not playing. In fact, his 907 snaps last year were the third most of anybody on our defense. They were the most of any cornerback by more than 100. And so he plays. He is very effective in coverage. I think he had a very, very good season. Last year's coverage grade was 72.3 at Pro Football Focus, which if you want to look at on our team, where that would have put him, in terms of our defensive backs, MJ Emerson would have been 1. He would have been 2.
Sure.
He's very good. He's not going anywhere. He's a rookie in the NFL with a team that drafted him in the first round, and thus has him this year, next year, and then a 5th-year option. 3 years, he's going to be a Cleveland Brown.
Unless you're Jeff Okudah, in which apparently a 5th-round pick.
You can be traded number 3 overall. Well, that's also for a guy who has not necessarily played well.
No, I know, but that seemed quick. I mean, as you were saying that, I'm like, geez, they still had him for 2 more years. It feels like you'd try him out a little bit longer before you.
Feels like they're drafting maybe that Christian Gonzalez
feels
or
like
one of those 2 corners at 6.
Feels that way.
And
feels
like
that's
okay. Goodbye.
Good night.
5th round though for a guy who's a 3rd overall pick.
Crazy. I mean, the high-end talent. There's a lot of layers to this thing on Newsome.
Sure.
So let's take him from his perspective first and foremost. And this is kind of like the way the NFL salary structure works. The position you are the position you are officially labeled dictates the amount of money you can make. So that's why anytime you hear slot corner, the feeling is, well, then I can't make the same money if I'm in there.
They're all listed as corners.
Of course. But the thing is, he's playing in the slot. You can't pay him. And I've said earlier this season, and this is not scores in any way, shape, or form, but when I look at our cornerback room, I think ideally it might be Emerson and Newsome on the outside, Denzel in the slot.
I agree.
Would be the one that would make the most sense there. By the way, Denzel's been compensated already, and so – but anyway, that's just me talking nonsense here. So that's where that comes from. And so it's similar, just like this Jackson Smith and Jigma thing with Ohio State, the receiver in the first round. Oh, he's a slot receiver. So is Cooper Kupp, and he won the Triple Crown. You know what I mean? Like, some of this stuff is becoming a little positionless.
Totally.
And so while it's, to me, they're still viewing, a lot of players and agents and teams still view this in that way. It's not the same as being a 3-4 defensive end or a 4-3 outside linebacker.
Correct.
Those are different. That, you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the tricky thing that he's working through there. So you mentioned some of the issues that could be real, where he wants to play on the outside, wants to do those things, and the reason for that is that there's a bigger payday if you're somebody who does that, who's viewed as, I'm on an island, I got this.
Yes.
There's more juice to that. So
But
that's part of it.
He still, last year, just so that we're all totally on the same page, he played more snaps outside last year than he did inside.
Yeah.
So he is still very much an outside corner. Yes, he plays in the slot, and there are some games where he plays more in the slot. There are other games where he played more outside.
Yeah.
But I understand why he wants to be out there. But if you look at, some of the guys who played a lot in the slot, like Jalen Ramsey plays in the slot a great deal. Marlon Humphrey plays in the slot a great deal. There are corners that are considered. Cam Sutton, who just got paid handsomely by the Lions, who we talked about yesterday, played in the slot a great deal last year. There are guys, he was 19th in coverage snaps in the slot in the league last year.
Well, that's why I think it's more perception than reality.
Yes. And look, when you're in the slot, you play the run more. You can be a forced defender, and that's not as fun. And I think that's one of the reasons why, given his concussion history and also his build, that Denzel doesn't play in the slot more. Now, there are some teams that use those lighter slot corners, and they just don't have them really get involved in the run game, and that can compromise your run defense a little bit. But he definitely is, I think, an ascending young stud. I think some people would look at it and say, oh, well, he hasn't, the ball production hasn't been there, and it's true he does not yet have an interception, but I think that he's always around it. He does not get targeted as much as maybe some of the other players on our defense get targeted.
Yeah.
So I think he was very effective last year, and I like what you get with Greg Newsome. I like that he's a Cleveland Brown, and I like the fact that, quite frankly, he's going to be here for a long, long time. Like, period. Full stop.
The other part of this is the story, how it gets out. So Brad, I don't know Brad, but he's been dialed in on a lot of the stuff this offseason, and has been pretty plugged in. So I saw the tweet from him this morning, and then give him credit. He retracted and gave an explanation on it and explained how it all happened. This is, well, I won't get into that, but this is that business of breaking news in the NFL or NBA is a highly lucrative business.
Yep.
But you have to have a hit rate that is really high.
Yep.
And so in order to be Woj, Shams, the ESPN guys, whether it's Schefter or Pelissaro or Rappaport, to be one of those guys, you have to curate relationships and trust. Truly is what it is. You have to build a platform. You have to curate trust and relationships, and then you can be someone who can be. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of these guys are used to get a specific side of a story out before the other one does.
Yep.
There's always this notion of so and so talks to owners, so and so talks to players, so and so talks to agents, and so all of them have the same information. It's just a matter of who can get the information out first and who can do so that best frames their view of it.
Yep.
So how does something like this happen? Brad did a good job of explaining, he'd take him at his word in terms of
somebody told me that I
trust, and that was it. And so I went with it. And maybe it was someone who he had used before. Perhaps it was somebody else. Maybe it was a new person who was testing him. Or maybe he took the information out of context.
Yep.
Could be any of those things. We don't know. I don't know Brad. But that's how something like that can happen.
Yep.
And it's something that it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen from time to time.
And the good news is it was all handled and cleaned up very quickly.
Within an hour or so, right?
I immediately talked to somebody who would know.
Yeah.
That is very close with Greg. And it was taken care of. Greg addressed it. His agent addressed it.
Yeah.
Got it to Schefter to be addressed. I can understand his frustration, but I think this is a new opportunity. You've got Jim Schwartz here. It's a new opportunity for this team, and I think if there's anything out there for players to look at in this organization in particular, it's David Njoku. David Njoku did request a trade.
Mm-hmm.
That happened.
Yep.
The Browns said, we're not trading you. That happened.
Yep.
And what did he do? Put his head down, worked his butt off, and then got rewarded with a massive $50+ million contract. And then went out and had an excellent season this year.
Yeah.
That's the model. And that's, I hope that somebody like David Njoku would reach out to Greg Newsome and say, look, even if this is true or not, which it isn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you have some frustrations, listen, I've had them. I've been there. Just keep getting better, and it's all going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, and that's true. So at least, look, because we had a loaded first segment, so I know we had to
derail the show a little bit.
Push it for a little bit for this, but, this is, I think, an important thing. I think it's a learning experience for a lot of people involved, and I think that it is a situation where you have a young guy. It's obvious to see that there was some frustration. I don't think that anybody would try to say, oh, everything is perfect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also a rookie entering the third year of his 4-year contract that's likely to be a 5-year contract because he was drafted in the first round. And he's somebody that this organization loves and values at a very high level. Yeah. So it's all going to ultimately be much ado about nothing, which it already is by 112 today. But that's it. So that's where it started, and that's where it ends.
I'm trying to see. I don't want to step on another segment here. No, we're not. Did you the Okudah thing that we mentioned briefly? That's something else.
Former 3rd overall pick
lost his entire first season.
Yep.
With injury.
Yep.
Did he lose a second?
He just has never played.
He's never played well.
Yeah, and that was a guy that coming out, I know that people thought was basically a sure thing, right?
Well, he was viewed by a lot of people coming out as the best of the Buckeye corners. So that's Lattimore, Ward. I mean, that's a list.
Yep.
And he was viewed as the best of those coming out. And gets hurt that first year.
So he was drafted in 19, right? Is that right?
Is it that long ago?
2020. For 3rd overall in 2020. He plays 6 games in 2020. He then in 2021 plays 1 game.
Okay, so that
I
thought he maybe had missed 2 seasons.
Last year he plays 15 games, 1 pick, 7 passes defensed, and then let me pull up his.
So he's only played 1 full season with them.
Yeah. Let's see how he did last.
I'm stunned at the get back. To take a flyer on someone who had that pedigree.
It feels like people must clearly they think that he is
cooked from whether it's due to the injury or whatnot.
Last year, graded at a 59 at Pro Football Focus, which is not a great grade, to be honest with you. Let's see, what did he do in coverage? In coverage last year, he gave up 61% completions, 15.5 yards a catch, an NFL rating of 97 when targeted, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, not terrible. Certainly not great, but not terrible.
Yeah, there's nothing you've just gone over in the numbers that would lead me to believe that I would be in a situation of saying a 5th.
I mean, he got torched pretty good at some times during the season. I mean,
I'll kick the tires, though, for a 5th.
3 games where he gave up over 110 yards receiving in coverage himself.
Yeah.
So I think he obviously had some problems.
Am I wrong, though? And I know sometimes I view things through scarlet and gray colored glasses. I didn't cover Jeff, so I don't know it. That's in that sense. I'm just saying from the standpoint of, good grief. The former number 3 overall pick in the draft nets a 5th in return.
And my guess
is he's only really played 1 full season?
My guess is they also had to eat some money to do that. Would be. So hold on. Here we go. This is why. Let's see. Okudah was set to make $10 million in 2023. The Lions won't clear the entire cap hit. They do free up significant amount of cap space. So the Lions also held a team option for $11.5 million next year. The Falcons now have control over that. Because he was on a rookie deal, his prorate signing bonus stays in Detroit's part of the cap hit, but his base salary and roster bonus travel with him to Atlanta. So it freed up $5.2 million in salary cap for the Lions.
I like the move for the Atlanta. I mean, it's a next to nothing for the potential of a guy who everyone viewed as the consensus number 1 corner 3 years ago in the draft. And now you get him for a 5th. And if it works, it's a all of a sudden you got a starting corner who's a dude. If it's not, then you lose a fifth. Big deal.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It feels like a no-risk proposition whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think Okudah wanted to be traded because his agent made a comment that the Lions made it very easy to accommodate him.
Yeah. I don't know. Must be more going on there. To me, it feels like. I know the injuries are there the first 2 years. But
So
man.
here's from CBS. It's no surprise that he was traded. The writing has been on the wall forever. Selected 3rd overall. Lions put an emphasis on the secondary free agency. They signed Cam Sutton. They signed Emmanuel Mosley. They added Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Too bad Tim Twentyman didn't give us to us yesterday while we had him on the program.
Yeah,
right?
would have been.
Yeah. But I mean, apparently it's not a surprise to those that are following it. So he played his first year was an ACL. His second year was an Achilles.
I remember the Achilles. I didn't know. So it's blown ACL and Achilles first 2 years. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a
Or at
lot
least
to come
that's
back.
what this says. I don't know if that's right.
It's on the
I don't
internet.
see
It must
why.
be true.
The Achilles for sure.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So anyway, that's a bit of news. That's a lot of corner news here this morning. I think it is fair to at this point and safe to say that. So you watched Succession last night, or do you have one more bit of news that you want to get to? Hard news.
I in fact wanted to go right here. So before we talk anymore, if you have not watched Succession on Sunday,
if you care about the show,
and you have not watched this week's episode,
jump back in 8 minutes.
Come back at 1:30.
Yeah. All right.
Say it again. If you have not watched episode 3 of this season of Succession, come back at 1:30.
Real quick.
Okay.
If you care about a show, I think you really have 24 hours to watch it.
24 hours.
And I think that this show isn't quite like Thrones, where you had to watch Thrones that night in the moment or you were done. But it's getting close. You watched it last night. I don't know how you avoided it.
Me
I think
neither.
It's a stunning accomplishment.
And Miss K. And I did nothing. I was on Twitter all day. I did nothing.
Somehow you avoided it.
So I saw one thing from Barstool that basically said, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
The headline was just something like, oh, my God, what an insane episode. Or like,
and
what
you
the hell
had the
happened?
context of me yesterday saying, you watched that, right?
And my buddy, Spoiler Box, I have a friend, Beatbox, who is.
Yeah, notorious for this.
Yes. We call him Civ Box, too. He asked, and we were like, no spoilers, Spoiler Box. And he said, okay. But he said, and then I texted. I knew just the way that you talked about it, the way that he talked about it, and seeing that Barstool thing. That's why I texted you, and I texted Beatbox when I started it. He wrote back, oh boy, buckle up. And what did you say?
All the pieces matter, I think, or something to that effect.
After, you were like, that was after I said,
oh, yeah.
At the beginning. Oh, man, we had a lot of good talking. CSS just started. I said, just started Succession. We need little Greglets.
Yeah. By the way, this morning, Bootsy came down. I said, I think I want to start calling you Greg. No. No. He's all mad. I said, I just want to, you're like a little Greglet.
Yeah.
Little Greggies.
Little Greglet.
What's wrong? Who gets hurt?
Nobody.
Didn't want it. Didn't like it.
I think our new, when next time we get an intern, it's got to be
If it's
Greg.
one of.
It has to be named.
Bestowed of that type of honor, a little Greglet.
No, I just think
little Greggies.
We need resumes submitted by people who are named Greg.
I'm going to tell you this. I think it's a good point out of you because it was named for Stevie Janowski. It was viewed by some as a slight. It's not. It's a term of ultimate endearment and respect and willingness to work with us, which is what Stevie did for Kenny Powers.
He does have an isolation if you were just to without a knowing of his affection or his work ethic for Kenny Powers.
Yeah.
If you just looked at him in isolation, you'd say, I don't know that I'd like to be Stevie.
That's on the subject.
Greg, though, have it all.
That's on the subject, though, because if you just watch Eastbound,
sure.
then that was part of the homework.
Of course. Greg, though, stands on his own.
He does, yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, little Greg. I like that.
What are they, the Disgusting Brothers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it was I think it'll go down in television history as an all-time apex episode. I think it'll be like Pine Barrens by the time all is said and done. I think it's a stunning achievement, the fact that they were on the boat the entire time. Except that was so shocking, or even Baylor, which is when Ned Stark lost his head.
Yeah.
Those episodes were so shocking and stunning. You knew that Logan was going to go. In fact, I think I said on the show that I thought he would go about halfway through because, the show is Succession.
Well,
so
right.
you had to have the
succession.
So you knew he was going to go. It was just the way that he happened with kind of the bait and switch of here's a big fun wedding, which they've done a ton of, and then all of a sudden this happens over here
on a
and
plane.
they're stuck on a boat and they're in a plane, like
And-
all of that via cell phones. Like, it was the most real probably death I've ever seen on a
That's
television
what I said.
show.
That's exactly what I said to Miss K. I said, this is like real life. This is what would happen. Like, these people are here. You get a phone call.
Yeah, you're not there.
You're
It's
not there.
It's glamorous. It's not heartfelt. Like, it's a struggle. It's
Wa-
awkward. It's chaos.
Wam's Gams was very calm, I thought, during the whole thing.
Really was. True leader.
I mean, yeah, like it was just real. And I thought it was an interesting decision, and I think a good one. They didn't show him go into the bathroom and struggle. You didn't know anything until the phone call was made. And when he called Shiv,
Gotta hit a break here.
when he called Shiv,
Erroneous.
yeah, when he called Shiv, I was like, we don't. Why? We got whatchamacallit coming at 1:30. AP.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're safe. By the way, we don't want to talk about the receiver one. The running back one came out as well, which is an egregious oversight. But I just said, yeah, so real. The emotions, I thought the acting was superb.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was basically one scene in real time, which harkened back to one of my favorite shows ever, was 24.
Yep.
You had that kind of feel to it. It was real. It was one scene. Basically, it was a 28-page scene.
Yeah, did you watch the post cap?
Of course.
Which was incredible. Yeah, like breaking
And
down.
that they shot over the course of a few days, but that one of the takes was basically the whole thing.
Yeah. Incredible.
Incredible acting. And I
All
thought
the
that
way
there was
through.
a great line from Cameron, and that's what I'm going to call him because that's how every time that's who he is to me.
Let your Cameron go.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Cameron was in
So
Egypt's
great.
land, let my Cameron go.
So good.
So good. Pardon my French, sir. I mean, come on, what a line.
So many.
When he said, one thing that I was taught a long time ago in acting was that you are basically playing off of everybody else around you.
Yeah.
And he said that when Shiv came in and was just a wreck, and it was real because I didn't have to act anymore. Like, it was real. There was real emotion. And I thought it was interesting, some of the ones that, like, did it on the boat and then shut it down. And then, like, Kieran Culkin had said, I was, like, kind of in a wreck at home.
Yep.
Because I felt like I had emotionally gone through this loss, even though I didn't, but it felt like a loss. It just couldn't agree more. Apex episode of television, the way that it was done, episode 3, so stunning, shocking, out of nowhere, also so understated in how the death happened.
No grandeur.
The sense of helplessness from the family members. Like, is there a doctor on the plane?
They
Can
tried
we
to
get
buy
his
their way
doctor?
out of it.
Like,
Yeah.
I want this person on the
Right.
nothing.
Nothing.
And then all of a sudden it immediately shifts from grief to now there's going to be a power struggle for the real succession. Then hence the name of the show.
That's the name of the show. His last line, I believe, is a little time to get blank and aggressive.
That's what he said. That's what I said. His last words were
Very
aggressive.
last line was that, which was incredible.
So, and then incredible. And then Jerry, and I thought Kieran Culkin was great. He said this was his worst professional day. Like, he loved Jerry.
Both in every possible way. Mother figure, all of it.
All of
yeah.
it. And then had to can her,
Mm-hmm.
and she knew right away, and he couldn't even resist her.
She goes,
He's
this
like,
is nothing.
Yeah, and then she didn't act like she didn't care. She clearly cared.
Yeah.
But then because the old man dies for it, it ever actually happened, it didn't happen.
didn't
and
happen.
She's like
She's
right
right
in her
back.
circle.
Right back in the mix.
Incredible.
The line from Kendall when he goes, we'll get I think he's something like, we'll get a funeral off the rack, like Reagan's, but something like that. Something, we'll get a funeral off the rack, like they were buying shoes at Nordstrom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we'll do the funeral. Like Reagan's with some changes. Like, it was amazing, that part of it. How they all changed in terms of what their motivation was, I thought was fascinating.
Every piece matters. Smart person.
It all did. I came away thinking, Shiv and Tom's entire operation was a relationship of convenience for both. Feels like it could be again. They both feel like they're on both sides. They could play together or play each side. There's a lot to like about those operations.
Don't you think I think in her heart of hearts, she wants to set him up for a great fall because that's what
Perhaps,
he did to her.
But
That's
I
what
also think that he's not nearly as dim-witted as she thinks. And he's perhaps much more capable than even she.
Well,
we'll see.
I also liked how you got the emotion, and then Romulus couldn't even muster an "I love you," and he's like, "I didn't say I love you" to him. He's like, "Okay, well, you can say it now," and he's like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, strong.
And I will say, as bad as Kendall has been, I thought that, and the guy plays him so well.
Mm-hmm.
He also, I don't know if he's on the set of a military movie in the desert in the post.
There's a
interview.
whole stuff on him, like his operation. No, that's his standard look. Like
he just must be an odd
shaves
guy.
the head and wears brown in between deals. That's his operation.
I think he's just an odd guy.
Well, Brian Cox, the actor who played Logan Roy, can't stand him personally because of all the stuff he has to go through to play a scene. And Brian's like, it's just acting. Like, just grow up and act. Like, so there's that between the two of them.
Brian
anyway,
Cox is a legend.
He is a legend, and it's a tremendous loss because I love every scene he's in.
He's the best on the show.
He's the best.
Well,
on
now
the
the best on the show is Wom's Games.
Yeah,
and
he'll
Greg
be it now. Womsgam's line when Carrie came out of the front and she was like had this ridiculous grin on his face and not even really know how to process or if it even bothered her or maybe she was the cause, who knows. And Tom goes, it's like she caught a foul ball at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that's what she said. It looked like she got a foul ball.
It's just great.
Well, her whole
yeah,
her teat is done. I mean,
it is done. Yeah,
her whole
it absolutely
operation.
Is. Yeah, we are just. By the way, and even if you were someone who didn't watch this show and you feel that somehow this ruins nothing, like this thing's unbelievable from a writing standpoint, from episode 1 all the way through.
It's a must watch if you haven't watched it, and now
and this wouldn't wreck it. I don't think at all.
I agree with you. You have 24 hours. What
do
you think is the time period that you have to abstain? We were very nice. We gave 2 very huge warnings here. But to me, of a show of this kind of consequence, I'm with you. Within 24 hours, total silence. I don't think anybody should talk about it. I understand the places that cover the show, like The Ringer would tweet out, but they should put their headlines that you would see on Twitter should not give away the subject matter.
I've often said that television, sports you care about and television you care about, if you really care about it, you almost have to watch it live. For fear that it'll get ruined. It's
Easter,
almost on you.
It was a holiday Sunday.
I understand, but you have that routine where you watch it on Monday. That's kind of your routine, I think.
We like to watch it on Sunday.
Right.
It's like Yellowstone stuff we watch live on Sundays.
I think
you're things going on.
It's like a little bit on you if you roll the dice with that. Now, I do think I'm courteous, so I'll be like, "Did you?" or whatever. Like I won't
Very
if you
courteous.
haven't. Like I'm not going to wreck
You're a good
it.
man.
But I also thorough. But I also think if you do, it's a little bit on you that you almost have to see in real time. But I think in general, 24 hours.
Here's the hard part for this is just from my personal situation.
Sure.
Like if I have the kids on a Sunday night, we're gonna hang out with the kids till I go to bed. So then it's a heavy show to get into at 10:30.
Yeah, you'd have to stay up
10:30 to 11:30 on that. Now, doable. Would I be willing to do it? Of course.
Yes. Yeah.
The great Miss K though, she's like we actually got an early call. She got an early call at the new gig.
All right, we've got some details on what Sunday Ticket is going to look like. We will have that for you. We'll play a little higher, lower coming up next. We're off and running on a Tuesday edition, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, is Nick producing? time with Renew Home Exteriors Siding and Roofing Products. Beau here for my great friends at Renew Home Exteriors. Don't spend all day with high-pressure sales guys. The team at Renew won't waste your day with hours of negotiating. Renew offers an upfront fair price to make your project easy. This month, take advantage of pre-pandemic pricing, plus no interest or payments for 24 months. Renew Home Exteriors. Superior products, superior service. Visit renewestimate.com for more on that. A little bit of AP here.
Oh,
How you doing, man? What's happening?
I'm doing fantastic.
You're not up. Not up. He's not up. Nation.
I'm doing fantastic. Are we good
He's back.
now?
He's back.
The Baco
Even
Nation.
better, even better. No, I'm great. We got some great weather. Spring's rolling around.
Is it your bachelor party this weekend?
No. This is
Not yours?
This is a buddy of mine from Maryland headed to Nashville for just.
Yep.
What's
Just
on
a
the
couple quick nights.
What's on the itinerary?
So flying in very early on Friday, getting there at 6:30. 6:45.
Arriving at 6:30?
Yeah,
How's that even possible?
because that was the cheapest flight I could find.
Is
But
that
what
a
time does it
5:30
leave?
Departure here?
6 a.m. Cleveland. It's an hour.
Oh, they
time
pick
zone,
up an
time zone,
hour.
Time zone.
6 a.m. I was on the 5:30 when I went out west for spring break at 5:30 takeoff.
I was on a 6. I got in LA
Yeah.
at 8.
Very early.
Yeah.
So
Hold on.
It's aggressive.
How it's so geography befuddles me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
How
you
are
would think
we-
Nashville? I didn't realize
Central
Nashville
time.
was-
Nashville
yeah.
Central time.
Yeah.
It's like Indy,
I'm
brother.
I'm
So
pulling
anyway.
up a map.
So
I
we
need to
get
look at a
there.
map.
We
so I
got
used to, here's it real quick.
Yep.
So this was when I first moved to Columbus from Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio was further east than Tallahassee, Florida.
the Tennessee geography because of how just it's so long. It just
Right.
throws everything
Well, and
off.
Nashville's central
Right.
because Knoxville's east, and then Memphis is
But like
on the west
you would
side.
think that like Indy's East Coast time, but you would think like Indy's not more west. At least
I
at
think most
first than
people think
Nashville.
we're not East Coast
Yeah,
time.
right.
Because we
get
shouldn't
lumped
be.
into the Midwest,
Mhm.
or we're lumped in Midwest, but we're not Midwest.
Yeah.
Cleveland's not Midwest. Cleveland's Mideast.
Mid-East.
It's
Yeah.
not Midwest in any way.
It's not Midwest.
We're not
I
Lincoln,
agree.
Nebraska,
Close.
or Omaha.
I agree.
We're
Or
not
Chicago.
even. If you broke the country into thirds,
Yeah.
we're definitely in the eastern third.
We're in the middle of the Eastern Third. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, there it
Even
is.
breaking into fourths. We're still in the fourth.
Right.
No
we are-
doubt.
We're a
I'm
lot
with
closer
ya.
to the East Coast than any
Yeah.
part of Central America. That's for sure.
Well,
So,
yeah.
So anyway, so we get there. I get there
Central United
Very
States
early.
of
Yeah, I was
America.
gonna
I was
say
gonna say you're
Nicaragua?
down in Honduras, Costa Rica, Guatemala.
early. Yeah, we get there early, and all I've been
Panama.
told for now is we've got Topgolf. We're starting out at Topgolf, and then
Somewhat.
yeah,
And
well,
hello.
it's not mine.
Oh, baby.
Topgolf, and then we just get right into it. Get right into it on all the.
You're going
bars.
to top golf like Friday at 9 a.m.?
at like 5.
Oh, okay. So what are you
Okay.
doing all day?
That's still to be
Opryland?
determined. This is a very like
The Grand
one of
Bowl?
those trips where you're just I'm just going with the flow, man. I'm gonna get there and everybody's gonna.
That's the job.
Like,
I mean, it's
okay,
Nashville. It's like I don't know. I feel like you can only put
all
on
right.
so
On
much Nashville.
on a
Just go.
scale of from once things get going in The Hangover to 80 for Brady, what are you expecting?
80
Where's
for
this
Brady.
where's this bachelor party on that spectrum?
80 for Brady. Not quite 80 at the 80 for Brady stage, but
I hope not. That's the.
I think
that means we're like
this
playing
isn't
pinochle.
this isn't like it's not like it's a group of 20 guys all going. This is like 7 or 8 guys. It's everybody who's
Solid
in my,
core though.
Everybody's in my buddies in the wedding
Okay.
and all the groomsmen, and we're just some of them I've only met once or twice. Most of them
Okay.
I've met more than a few times. So it's
like
like
shots, cake stands, all of it.
we'll see. I mean when I say like going with the flow, like I really mean like I am going in.
What's your
and I am just-
expectation going in though? Is your expectation going in this is going to be like this is going to be wild, or is it going to be like this is going to be awesome? We're going to have a great time, a great group of dudes.
I would say that. I would
Yeah.
say that.
It
It's-
depends on age. I think if you're someone who gets married in your 20s, then it's the debauched
Yes.
hangover
yeah.
situation where you do all of the things you're supposed to do on a bachelor party.
When you get
Then it transitions,
when you get married in your 40s,
30s or 40s, then it changes.
you walk around Epcot with your boys.
Well, that's right. It's golf.
Yeah.
It's Epcot. It's great meals, white tablecloth. Like,
Totally.
I
you know,
would say-
I've been on both. I've done tons of the 20s
Same.
and tons of the 30s. And
I
they
enjoyed.
both
I'll tell you
win.
what, I had a blast at Epcot.
They both win.
I
They
would
both
say it's going to be like the awesome good time at that stage, right? But it has the potential to turn into
of course, it's always the
like
potential.
crazy
In Nashville, that's the thing. In Orlando, you don't have that much potential for it to get like just out of control because there
No.
just isn't like a lot of out of
Well, I know
controlness.
a lot of ladies go there for the bachelorettes, and I'm sure they're hoping for cross pollination.
yeah,
if you
exactly.
are among
A
the
mix.
Like I'm wondering if the bachelor parties in Nashville, it's the people putting on the bachelor party hoping to have some fun on their side. I wonder if it's more for their good time more than the groom.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because from a you think about the things you want to do at a bachelor party, I would think. I mean, I guess it depends.
Well, if you're the groom, you're walking the straight and narrow, brother. You're about to get married.
But that's what I'm saying. You're cocktailing. You're going to do
Eating.
the type of things that you do. You're
Golfing.
eating. I would think golfing or something
Sure.
like that. You
Sadly,
need a
not
group
golfing,
activity.
but we're top golfing.
Top golf, still golf. That's some golf.
Yeah, but you need a group activity. Like,
Drive race cars, maybe.
unless you're a huge country music fan, or your buddy's a huge country music fan.
I am very neutral and different. Like when I'm going to Nashville, I will gladly listen to country music, and I think he will too. Obviously, you wouldn't pick Nashville if it wasn't for that. But I mean, you know, in Nashville, it's not just.
No, it's
country
Nash
music.
Vegas,
Yeah,
though.
exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Look, this is going to be my first time going there since I've turned 21, and so I'm very much just strapping in, and wherever my buddy wants to go, and whatever we want to do, then
Nashville's a special town, man. I've had some great memories in Nashville.
you guys.
I've only been there once. Been through there once. Never spent any.
I've been
considerable
there
time.
at least 3 times. I was there for the largest road comeback in NFL history at the time. I'm guessing that is no longer the case.
All right.
Although I don't know if that Vikings game was in Minnesota. I don't remember that wasn't Vikings Colts where they came back from like 100 to nothing.
This last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know who
Yeah, I
was the
can't
home
remember
team. I don't remember who was the home team.
Minnesota, I think.
Minnesota was okay, so
think
that
so.
doesn't count. So
Yeah.
this was a road comeback.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and then I was also there. We played there another time. I want to say with Cody Kessler at quarterback.
Non-Browns. How many times have you been there?
And then I was there for Simse. Now this is going back a decade.
Yeah.
Simse's 40th, which was a
Okay.
great time.
Yeah.
And that was
I always feel like Vegas
golf,
So there's,
partying.
you got to have connections to
Partying.
get on the good courses in Nashville.
Yeah.
Though. It's not like Vegas where you can play great courses
Yeah.
that are available
Yeah.
if you want to pay
No,
the
we
expense
played,
on
we
it.
played some sweet spot.
Yeah.
It was
So
awesome.
Vegas is always the one that hits all of it. Like I understand that it's
It's Vegas.
it's Vegas, but it's every single box is checked that you
Vegas
want to do.
is too easy though for it to just go off the rails. If you
It
if
can
you're
be.
trying to keep it in some type of guidelines,
Yeah.
Vegas makes it very easy to play outside of
It
those.
feels like Vegas's
rules.
mistakes to me would be almost more fake mistakes, whereas Nashville's mistakes could be more real mistakes.
Agreed, but
Yeah.
both with the same result
Yeah.
at the end, which would be
More of a wide open playground.
maybe
in the
we're
Vegas
not
situation.
maybe we're not getting married.
Yeah.
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 So
that's
so
good.
Z, do you have any recommendations, real quick? Because I think the majority of the group that I'm going with has not.
Oh
gone
yeah,
to
they're a
Nashville.
great restaurant.
I mean, I know
Go to
those are-
Husk.
Cheers.
Go to Husk. Have a nice white
I'm writing
tablecloth
this down.
at
Husk.
Husk. I don't
Kane-
think you get in that quickly, but that's the one spot I've eaten at there that was an all timer.
Kane Prime. Isn't there also a Husk in
There's one in Savannah or
in
Charleston.
Yeah, it's great.
Same guy,
Charleston.
Sean Brock. He just opened another restaurant in
Kane
Nashville.
Prime,
Kane Prime.
excellent,
That
and
was very
also I
good.
believe has some ties to our organization.
There's Jeff Ruby's. Jeff Ruby's got a joint down there.
Kane Prime is an excellent steakhouse. Upscale dishes, neutral tone space, bar backed by picture windows and city skyline views. Kane Prime is awesome.
I'm
I've
making a
eaten
list.
there. Yeah, that's a good one. And then really, like, you just want to be on this. What's the name of the street?
Broadway, isn't it?
Broadway. Yeah,
Broadway.
you just want to be on Broadway, and then
Go with
Let
the
the good
flow,
times
man.
roll.
just get swept
Yeah.
up by the wind, brother.
All right, Gibby wants
the
us to rank. He wanted us to rank wide receivers.
we're not
We
gonna do
vetoed that, so we're going to rank running backs. Do we want to do this through the frame of fantasy football, or should we just do this period?
Well, I'm going to give you. This is Mike Clay's rankings.
Yeah.
Now, people are going to get up in arms, and there's
PPR.
something that people are. Thank you. That people have not noted in the overall overwhelmingly angry Browns fans' reaction to this is that these are PPR rankings. That is a full
okay,
point
sorry.
per reception. But you said that.
Yes.
Yeah, you were
I
right.
I didn't realize you were getting to that. My
But no, but most people have not noted that because it matters.
It does.
It matters, especially as it relates to our guy, Nicholas Jamal Chubb, because Nick Chubb does a great many things greatly. One of the things that he does not do a ton of is catch the football. And just so people understand, if they are not familiar with point per reception, I'll give you one example. So Nick Chubb last year for the Browns caught 27 passes for 239 yards. So that's 27, 23, that's 50, and a touchdown. So that's 56 points of PPR, which is the equivalent of 56 points is the equivalent of 560 yards rushing. Okay, so almost more than halfway to 1,000 yards. Austin Eckler, just again to use some perspective, or even a guy who was right above him, Eckler last year in 2022 had 107 catches. So 107 catches alone, forget yards, are worth 1,070 yards rushing.
Yeah.
A lot of value in those patch catching
So
backs.
107 points plus 722, so 179 points and 5 touchdowns, which is 30. So 209 PPR points. So what do we say Nick Chubb had? 50? Just from the PPR side of it. So, like, think about how much he would have to do to make up 100-plus points.
2,000-yard back.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
To make up the difference, which is possible. But Austin Eckler then also had rushing 13 touchdowns and 900 yards. So, like, Beau.
So I've never done a PPR league.
Yep.
Every league I've done is standard.
It
feels to me like it's disproportionate amount weighed towards catches.
That's why half PPR is the perfect.
That seems
thing.
incredible
I've
what you
only-
just did. Like the idea that a
Right.
107 receptions are worth that much
With 1,070 yards rushing.
versus carries not worth that. Like, to me,
Right.
touches should be viewed the same.
Half PPR is perfect.
I've done
So
half,
what's
only
that?
half PPR.
Describe it.
You get a half point for every reception.
Okay.
So yards all stay the same, touchdowns stay the same. You just get a half point per reception.
But there's still a lot of value in it because running back can still catch touchdowns.
Yeah, like
That-
even
that
a guy,
adds the
for
versatility.
example, people are going to be mad, right, that Ramondre Stevenson is ranked ahead of Chubb.
Right.
Ramondre last year, 69 catches, so that's 69 points, 421 yards, so that's 42, so now we're at 111, and a touchdown receiving, so he's at 117. So he's already starting with basically a 500 and something yard head start over Nick Chubb, period, just based off of what he does as a receiver. Now in a half PPR, those 69, that just becomes 33 or 34.5. 75, so now he's only like 20 points ahead of Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
30 points because of the touchdown. So that's a full PPR. Absolutely, you're correct. Overvalues receptions, and it can make a guy that's an Amon-Ra St. Brown who's a 8+ catch a game guy. You're starting every week at 8 points.
Yeah.
And so if you have a running back who doesn't catch the ball at all, or very rarely, and let's be honest,
You need a couple touchdowns.
24
Yeah.
catches in a 17-game season, or 27, that's 1.5 a game, and there are guys out there catching 5 passes a game.
Yeah.
So Nick Chubb starting in a hole. So with the fact that it's PPR, it makes it a little easier to understand. At the same time, it does feel a little egregious. So here are our Mike Clay's we'll do our top 15 running backs. We'll count them down. Mixon at 15, Aaron Jones 14, ETN 13, Nick Chubb 12, Dalvin Cook 11, Ramondre 10, Ken Walker 9, Tony Pollard 8, Bijan Robinson, who hasn't even been drafted yet,
No.
7, Josh Jacobs 6, Derrick Henry 5. Now, Derrick Henry doesn't catch a lot of passes, but does catch some. Jonathan Taylor 4, Saquon 3, McCaffrey 2, Eckler 1.
Well, based on the way you just laid it out, it seems appropriate. If you're talking about 1,000 points or 1,000 worth 1,000 yards on 107 catches,
I still like to me, Nick Chubb should be around wherever Derrick Henry is. Now, Derrick
does
Henry
Dalvin Cook have the same beef?
I feel like he's maybe starting to.
Yeah, I feel like he's on the back end. I mean, the Vikings are exploring. Aren't the Vikings exploring, like, trying to trade him? Rumors, reports, stuff like that. Like, they know that the end is coming for him. Like, he might have hit his ceiling. So I think I'd put Chubb in front of Cook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chubb at 12. Definitely put Chubb in front of Cook.
Ken Walker.
I'm high on Ken Walker. I would.
Who do you
rank-
guys think's
ninth on
older,
this
Dalvin
list.
Cook or Nick Chubb?
I think probably
Dalvin
Nick.
Cook.
They're the exact same age.
Yeah.
They're both 27.
All right. So in the 2022 season, Dalvin Cook, though, it looked different watching him last year. He was at 4.4 yards a carry. See, to me, there's no way that Nick should be so far away from Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry last year on 50 carries more, rushed for 30 yards more.
Well, how much pass catching too? I mean,
33 for 398. So
Okay, so
more,
not
but not significant.
Yeah.
Not
More importantly than
significant.
all of this, how much do you think, in terms of how people view someone's worth to the individual team, how much of it from a public perception is skewed by fantasy value?
Quite a lot.
I
I think that's what we're seeing with Derrick Henry on this list. It's Derrick Henry. I think he had a little bit of a down year last year, right? Too.
No, he's second in rushing and 13 touchdowns.
Okay. I was like, maybe as it started slow.
For Dalvin Cook, it was just Dalvin Cook's got 5 full seasons under his belt, plus a catastrophic injury in his rookie year, and his yards per carry has gone down in 3 straight years.
And that's what you got to watch is the yards per carry. That's
feels
the
like
sign.
Yeah, it feels like he's just going down a little bit. Derrick Henry still had 15. Derrick Henry had 15, 38, and 13 touchdowns, led the league in carries with 349. Jacobs had 340, 1653, led the league in rushing and 12. And then Chubb, 302 carries. For all the people who say we don't run the ball, that's third most in the NFL, 1,525 and 12. So pretty solid. Najee Harris, 1,034 yards on 272 carries, 3.8 yards a carry. It's wild.
Yeah, Najee's 16 on this list.
Yeah.
So much of this stuff, too, is the situation you're
Situation,
in.
yeah.
I mean, you talk about Christian McCaffrey was kind of wasting away in Carolina. Then he goes to Kyle and rejuvenates everything.
He's going to be, yeah.
You think about who Najee's played with at quarterback the first 2 years in the league. And there, I will acknowledge, there are Trent Richardson vibes with him a little bit when you look at the yards per carry, although I think he can see a hole where I'm not sure Trent could.
Correct.
But he's running into a lot. I mean, that last year with Ben, I mean, how much of Ben's completion percentage was 3-yard dump-offs to Najee Harris?
Yep.
And then this year they had Pickett, who he doesn't stretch the field either. So that part's a very, very tricky part of it.
All right, I'm going to play a game real fast.
What's the game
Whose
called?
numbers, whose stats are these?
Go.
259 carries, 1,269 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4.9 yards a carry.
Is it somebody we've mentioned on this list?
Last year. Maybe.
Is this
What was that-
Dameon Pierce?
Dameon Pierce, no, he was 229, 39, and 4.3 yards a carry.
Was it Walker?
Kenneth Walker, 228, 1,050, and 9. Good guess, though. And he's in the top 10 now and looks like a stud.
Pollard
Pollard was
get there?
193, 1,007, and 9, 5.2 yards a carry.
All right, go ahead. Who is it?
Yeah.
Miles Sanders. So the reason I make that point is that Miles Sanders was really good last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the league. He finished, believe it or not, 5th in the league in rushing, and he finished 8th in the league in rushing touchdowns with 11. In terms of like the leaders, in terms of yards per carry, he was basically, it was Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Etienne, Chubb, Ramondre, Jacobs, and Miles Sanders. So he's tied for 6th in terms of yards per attempt. And he's gone now. And the only reason I brought this up is because there's a name on here that I think is a good flyer that they've got Rashad Penny, who has taken over in Philly at 33. Like, that's somebody that I would love to draft as my third running back.
Just
And he
got
could
to
be,
stay healthy.
if he stays, even if you get 6 great games out of him, I mean, he will be, I think he has a top 10 potential in 6 games.
You look at his yards per carry. That's
Oh my God,
one
he's a
that's been on the
beast.
upswing. It's just the injuries have been just been killing
devastating.
him.
Feels like Bijan for them.
If
I
they
think that's
take
what they're gonna
Bijan, then
do.
obviously forget that, and then Bijan would go even higher on this list, I
Yeah.
think.
I keep seeing Bijan. We were talking a few weeks ago just about where he deserves to be drafted in the first round, and I'm seeing more and more mock drafts. I think he's going to go in like the top 15 range now.
I just think that situation in Philly's perfect. Like, they have everything else. They're trying to win a Super Bowl right now.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I would
coming
never
around
take
to
a
that.
running back
Yeah.
in the top 10 ever. Like, I would never do
Do you
that.
believe that we trade Trent Richardson for a first-round pick? Like, that would never happen
Never,
in a billion
never
years.
happened. No. So savvy to pull that off. And I remember at the time it was outrage
Oh, yeah.
about it. Like, people were up in arms that they were trading Trent Richardson. It was like they got a one back. It was crazy. But you got to think about it from Bijan. It's the specific situation.
Yeah.
That offense next to Hurts, and they are trying to win a Super Bowl next 3 to 5.
And it's not like Miles Sanders was blowing it up at all before last year, and now the Eagles got all their pieces together, got the offensive line. Hurts played well. They had two
He's
receivers
always,
playing
though,
well.
he
So
just
that makes a lot of sense now.
The problem, not from a Miles Sanders standpoint, the problem has always been that it's always been kind of like a committee. You know,
Mhm.
He averaged 5 yards carry for his career. This is the first year he ever got more than 200 carries.
Hey, here's the you want to do a
Wow.
trivia?
Yeah.
Who was he also in the backfield with in college?
Miles Sanders.
Saquon?
Bingo. And Sanders was the higher rated recruit. Both played at Penn State at the same time.
Same time?
Mhm.
What did
They
he
did.
do?
Never
I mean,
guessed
he was a second-round pick, so he obviously must have done.
He did, but they had all those guys in the backfield. Yeah, it's crazy.
Why'd they ever
was he a
throw?
first round pick? When
Well,
was
they
he
had
drafted?
Trace McSorley, so they really didn't throw much. I mean, they almost
Trace McSorley should have played at Alabama in like the 90s.
yes, yeah. The
What's that guy's name? McElroy? It could have been like
Greg
another-
McElroy.
Greg McElroy.
a little one of those
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, that's what they tried. They did that. They were kind of that light. They almost got Ohio State. Was it 16? I think in Columbus, almost got him.
I mean, they had to be able to run the ball on anybody.
Yeah, they could. So, all right, good job out of UAP.
That would have been a fun
Fun time.
team if there was an NCAA football game because
Oh my God!
When you can really roll like that, you can.
I know we're up against it. So I had my original Xbox 360 that the boys were. This happened on Friday. The boys were playing the college football game on, so I just had it hooked up to play the college football game because you can download the new rosters.
Right.
It was last Friday. Bootsy goes, "Dad, come here." He goes, "What do you think this?" Or he goes, "Dad, look at this." Red circle on my original 360. That was something I haven't thought about in a decade. That was something I was worried about all the time 10 years ago when I used to play it all the time. I was
red circle of doom.
Red circle of doom. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't thought about this in a decade, and it finally got.
Wow.
The original. That's got to be like an 05 Xbox 360 that finally crumbled.
Wow.
Sad. 2 major appliances in our lives have gone. My oven went on Miss K's birthday.
It's a little bit more significant, I think.
Well, it's going to cost me a lot more to replace.
A lot more. I'm not replacing this one. It's done. Yeah, we've got the Xbox X's. We're good. So we're all set.
Yeah.
All right. Good job out of you. All right, buddy. We've got a team to look at. It's the Atlanta Falcons. D'Orlando is going to join us in the final hour.
Today.
Our good friend. They did make a big trade today. We'll get his thoughts on that. Plus, we can tell you how the Sunday ticket is going to be for you if you're so inclined. That's all coming up. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, final hour here on a Tuesday. We will take a look at the Atlanta Falcons here momentarily. Between now and then, there is a new home for the Sunday Ticket. Were you even aware of this, Z, that this was going to be possible, that Sunday Ticket is headed to YouTube TV after all these years of DirecTV?
As a YouTube TV man, of course I was.
You were?
I was ready.
So it was on DirecTV
forever. That's why I had DirecTV.
Yeah.
That's why I had Direct. I was a long-time loyal DirecTV customer, and then I phased out and cut the cord and went to YouTube. Couldn't be happier. Although they did raise their prices again and again and again. It's still way cheaper than what I was paying for DirecTV. I can tell you that much.
You know, it'd be something, as I have all these streaming services, it'd be amazing if there was one thing that like took all of the things that I wanted and put them all into one place so I could just pay one bill for all of it.
Be great.
You know, like cable. Kind of is that.
Well, not really.
It was.
No, because you
think
never
it is.
had the library. That's the thing now. It's like
It's the back catalog.
it's the
right,
library.
but there is, if you have, like, I have HBO on demand,
Same.
Showtime on demand. Those are all in the cable.
Yeah.
So that you can watch the entire HBO catalog through cable.
Yeah.
It's all there if you want to binge
Cable's
a show.
expensive though.
It's not that much different than what you're paying for all this other stuff. Now I'm doing both of it, but I mean it feels like it's kind of a wash. By the time I do the internet and everything else,
But you need the internet.
that's
Can't
what I'm
have a
saying.
house without the internet.
No. What I'm saying though is, in order to supply all of the systems and all of the gaming and all of this, I have to have an internet that's fast enough to occupy it, to handle all
strong.
of that. Strong, right? So then you're going to need, from a streaming standpoint, I'm going to need Disney, Hulu, Netflix, Prime
HBO.
comes for free, HBO, and then I need like
Paramount.
YouTube TV or something like that, Paramount. Every one of those
Peacock.
is at least $12 a pop, $10 a pop.
That'll get you a lot back.
On
Go
what?
through all your offers. Paramount, Peacock, a bunch of them.
That guy helps.
Oh yeah.
All right, I got to look at that, see what I can get done there.
Yeah.
That guy helps with the clear. I'll tell
That
you
helps
that.
with everything.
Yeah,
That guy.
he could do more.
That guy for the fee makes back your fee tenfold.
He does, but for the heft of it,
It's a great half.
it's a great heft,
People
as you
love
know.
it, yeah.
But like, I got to tell you, sometimes I wish it was even doing a little more for me.
You get. I mean, we could walk through the.
No, we don't need to.
We don't
It's
need
fine,
to.
it's
But
fine.
you. Yeah.
But
you're-
anyway, so you're
well,
gonna be
maybe
through-
off
air.
We'll
You're gonna
back channel.
Maybe there's things I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
on it. It's possible
that you're not getting
It's
benefits
possible.
on.
I'm not taking full advantage.
Yeah.
$389 for YouTube TV subscribers, $489 for not. Yeah, or maybe it's, I don't know, it's somewhere in there. And then there's one where you do an add-on with, where you do, if you want Red Zone 2, maybe that's the $489, $389. The other one's $329, $429. It's steep though. It's a big hit.
So $400 divided by 17 weeks is what? 20 and change
Sorry,
a week.
$249
Oh, okay.
on the with, $349 without.
Oh, $249 with.
$289 with $289 with Red Zone, $389 without.
So $289.
So $300 for the $289 for the Red Zone and the ticket.
Well, there's really 18 weeks because of bio. It's $16 a week.
Yeah.
At $300.
Yeah.
You want to pay $16 a week to watch every NFL game? Of course you would.
I've never been in a position where I've needed it.
Well, me neither. I don't get to do anything. Look at Baco comes in here. He's so professional, so groomed, so friendly, full of smiles. I haven't heard him say one nasty thing about us.
No. So Baco, here's what I'm thinking. Like, we should be, I guess let's just produce the show on the air. What I guess we need to know from Justin is, are we up to speed where we need to be
I don't think we are.
break-wise?
I don't think we are. We did 2 segments. in
Yeah,
the
but we
first
were
hour.
off air for a little bit, so I thought maybe there was one
That was
there.
probably one stack. We probably need another stack.
All right.
Yeah, no, we are not on schedule right now. So
So
all
here's what we need to do.
is stack right here.
If we take a break here in 2 minutes and stack, and then we'll do the Falcons, and then we'll do Orlando on time at 2:30, and then we'll break normally from
What about
him.
this great Yellowstone segment?
We'll get to that. All right, so we're going to be fine. It's all going to work
Yeah,
out.
we're way fine.
Yeah, we're going to be fine. You're
We're
safe,
totally
so
fine.
We'll get that done.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so there you go. That's how that's going to go.
That feels – it's a big number when you look at it in whole, but then when you think of 18 weeks, it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
$20.
Especially what you pay with everything else. that's out there.
And everybody, who's not an NFL employee is now gambling, and I guarantee they're dropping $20 on this, $20 on that, $20.
Yeah.
Just put 120 aside or win once, and then put that aside, and that's your.
Pay attention to the scores.
There it is.
Cliff Kingsbury was not unemployed long. He is back at USC, and I said back. I was not stammering or stuttering or being incorrect. He was at USC before. He was fired at Texas Tech. Went to USC as the quarterback coach. Never coached a game.
Nope.
Was out of the blue offered the Arizona Cardinals job. Took it because who turned down the NFL? Coaches for the Cardinals for a few years, and now he's back at USC coaching quarterbacks for Lincoln Riley there.
So the question becomes, what is the offset language? How does that impact what he's doing? It's no way, shape. He's getting paid everything the Arizona Cardinals owed him. There's going to be.
I'm guessing he's doing it for free or near thereabouts to make sure the Cardinals pay everything to him that he's owed. They just redid his contract.
Yes, no,
last
he's
year.
owed like a lot of money.
A lot of money. Yeah. So, and I think this keeps him in football. He was go live at Manhattan Beach, go coach USC, and they are going to come into the Big Ten in 2024, and they will come in hot, looking right in the eye of Ohio State. Like those programs will be very similar spots. What they're doing in recruiting is seriously our name, image, and likeness. They're
Behemoths.
ready. Yeah, they're coming in ready to go. They got a chance to be not quite Apex Pete Carroll, but a rung below that when they walk into the Big Ten. It's going to be a full day.
If only Manti Te'o had gone there and followed Troy Polamalu and Junior Seau.
None of it would have happened.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think of what his.
Where does Gibby find this stuff?
I don't know.
So John Elway trying to get into Yellowstone?
He must have because he hates John Elway so much.
Yeah, of course he calls him Horseface. Horseface on a horse. Can't help himself. Just can't.
That was pretty good.
He was really good. I think probably undervalued historically.
Yes.
For as great as he was. So, first of all, they aren't even filming the season that they're in. They're not even filming it because Costner is at odds with the show creator. They've cast McConaughey in what I assume is the Texas spinoff of Yellowstone, that 666 thing.
Great.
I think they're doing that, so there's a potential for that could be great.
Just get 1923 back.
Well, they are running that back. They're going to do a second season of that, and so that one's back in the mix.
Honestly, to hell with the original.
It might be done.
Seriously, I don't care.
Yeah,
I
think they want to put a final ribbon on it, but
give me 1923. That's what I'm looking for. 1923, Ford Mirren. The dude who's the big game hunter, that guy's great.
Well, that's a great timeline. You would like Peaky Blinders.
I know.
Watch that on Netflix.
Sure.
That's from that time period as well.
Yeah. Look at the great Dom. Dressed to the nines today.
It's an incredible lean.
He's Dom.
Love that guy.
Dom's
guy's an all-time.
Look at him back to back heroes just coming up the stairs.
Just
Dom and then Annarella. Congrats on the
favorite
promotion.
people.
Look at him.
The best. God bless him.
He looks happier.
He does. Looks great. Yeah. Fantastic.
It's good.
All right. So coming up next, we will get into the Falcons. We'll get some categories on that. And then D. Orlando will join us around 2:30. So you have that to look forward to, which is nice. Go ahead. You got something?
So I'm just going to give the quote that allowed this segment that we kind of had and then moved. He just said they aren't making Westerns anymore. Maybe I'll call Costner and get a part in Yellowstone, which is, Costner and they are at odds. So I don't know if calling Costner is going to do much. He could just add it to his list of demands.
Yeah. He does have another he's doing like a Western movie that they greenlit too. But also Paramount's not crazy about producing Yellowstone because they don't own the streaming rights to it. Peacock does. So like they put it on Paramount, the network, but they can't put it on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So it's a ridiculous
But you get
arrangement.
all the other ones on. You can only get on Paramount Plus.
They had before there was Paramount Plus, they did a deal with Peacock for those episodes. So they have all the streaming rights.
Yellowstone and WWE, Peacock.
Yeah, that's the whole operation. All right, we hit the Falcons coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Oh, yeah.
You're up.
And there's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns to help with your favorite four-legged companion. Barking Backers, presented by Milk Bone, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Send them a day at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. D. Orlando Ledbetter will be joining us here in about 50 minutes or so. Between now and then, we are talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Boy, it's a big bet on Desmond Ridder, right? And that's kind of the operation here.
Yeah, that's one of the things, obviously, we're going to talk with D. Orlando about is how is it that, you have basically passed on the idea that you could get Lamar Jackson. So we're not interested.
Yeah.
For Desmond Ridder, and I guess Taylor Heineke is also there.
They passed on, at this point, publicly at least, they passed on Lamar Jackson. They passed on Justin Fields in the draft, among others.
And they were interested in Deshaun.
Yeah, and they pursued Deshaun doggedly. I mean, they were one of the teams that was trying desperately to get Deshaun. They had Ridley. He got in trouble, and then they traded him for a bucket of balls. They had at times what felt like a little bit of a nucleus of a team, and now I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to be.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean, I guess if they like Ridder, then they've got their quarterback. They still have Pitts. And they drafted the kid from USC last year. Why am I blanking? Drake London.
Who's very good.
Who's very good. Yeah. So they've got a couple of targets here or there. But it's a very strange operation as part of that NFC South. And it's interesting that the Saints were in on Deshaun, the Panthers were in on Deshaun, and the Falcons were in on Deshaun. Like all of them kind of needed quarterbacks at the same time. And all of them had franchise guys from Breeze and Cam and Ryan, and they all kind of like got old at once, even though they were different ages. And heck, Tampa Bay would have been in that spot if Brady didn't come to the rescue.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. By the way, I will say this as I look through and try to find what's going on with the Falcons in terms of their adds and subtractions and all of that. The coverage of different teams is very different. Like everybody else so far, like the Lions had an awesome one where it was like, here's who we signed, here's who left us, here's who we re-signed, all the contracts, all of it. This is not. They don't really have that here.
I don't think. I mean, you lived there. I covered Falcons games.
Not a sports town.
Well, I think I will disagree with that. I think it is a college football town for sure. Like it is an SEC, Georgia especially, but it's an SEC.
Yeah, but
town.
it should be an ACC. Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech has no fan base though.
No,
you know that they have none.
They produce some pretty good pros.
They have, but it's almost by accident. Like they ran that triple option stuff. Like it's a Georgia town, is what it is. It's an SEC town. It's a Georgia town.
Yeah.
And then the suburbs are Braves, which is why the Braves moved out to the suburbs. It's big baseball.
Yes.
It was never a great draw at Turner Field, but when they moved to the suburbs, it's been good again. The Falcons have always been, like when Vic was there, they were a sensation. But before and after, it's kind of tepid with them in that market. And I don't know if the Falcons moved the or the Hawks. I don't know if they moved the needle at all. I know Trae Young did for a little bit, but it's hard to say. All right. We got to do let's do the categories on the Falcons and we'll get to D. Orlando. All right. Let's start with uniforms. Keep them, change them. What variation?
All you have to do is have some amalgamation of, and they have them as an alternate, but the Jeff Georges or the Deons, that era, and then you can even go back with the red lid with the Steve Bartkowski, Gerald Riggs. Just
that's it.
That's it. Period.
You got a great bird. You got a great logo. It's on the helmet. It looks spectacular on either the red hat or the black hat. Original bird on either one. That's it. That's the list. Have the alternate be your primary. If you want to wear it, I know some of the fan base likes the one that's like red that's got like a half gold stripe and a black. It's like, have you seen that one? There's a Falcons hat that like maybe Gerald Riggs wore.
Yeah, that would be like Bartkowski.
Yeah,
Riggs.
but it's a subtle. It's this one right here. There was a lot of the fan base that was hoping they would bring this one back. It's got a subtle gold. This is it. They actually wore it a couple of years ago. This one with the gray face mask, and it's got a gold on it.
Oh, just outside of the white stripe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So that's like because it paid homage to like Georgia Tech.
Okay.
So there was a hope that they would bring that thing back. But like this isn't hard. They've got a perfect uniform. They just choose not to wear it, and instead they have the ridiculous ATL and all that other stuff.
Oh my God, they're awful.
But they have a perfect uniform.
They have a perfect uniform in their closet right now.
Yes, they do. And they could wear the home and away version of that, and everybody wins. Stadium,
I'll also
Go ahead.
say it's that the old logo that doesn't have any red in it is the one.
The one
where
that's
it's
the
just
silhouette.
black and just a little bit of what. Yes,
Not the
exactly.
one it doesn't need depth. It's just the silhouette of the bird flying with the
Correct.
wing down.
Yep.
That's it. That's the
it.
list. Wear
Yep.
that. It's simple.
Perfect.
Stadium. Oh, I've not been to it.
Oh, it's great. Beautiful.
Do you remember when Kanye lived in it?
I believe while we were there.
We were there. You guys were
I believe
down
while we
there.
were there, he did week 4 of the season. He was living there. Beautiful stadium, state of the art, brand new. Looks awesome when the telescopic eye opens. It's pretty cool. The boards are great. I don't like where they have the box, but then again,
It's not for you.
it's not for me. They should in prime real estate should be prime luxury boxes. And as we were told when we were in Baltimore, where we are basically in the most prime spot, 50-yard line at the height you would want to be. As Sasha Brown told me, don't get comfortable there. We're turning those into
Of course they are.
luxury boxes.
I
And
can't believe
said,
they kept it that long in Baltimore.
I said, Sasha Brown, as you should.
As you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there in 2014 in that press box, and I'm like, this has got to be one of one. It's got to be the only one that's a 50-yard line halfway up press box.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would never do that with what that real estate is worth.
Agreed.
Road trip to Atlanta.
Absolutely.
For sure. Great town.
Great.
3
town.
downtowns. It's huge.
Yeah.
Everything
basically.
you want to do.
Yeah, you want to go out in Midtown. Midtown's where it's
Is that
at
where it is now?
Yeah, Midtown.
It rotates, right? It was
Buckhead is not any.
in the old days. It was Buckhead.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to go in Midtown. Great restaurants, great bars. The Virginia Highlands is cool if you kind of like that kind of more laid back pubby vibe. Atlanta's awesome. Great food, great golf, great stuff to see. I great town. Loved going to
You
college
live there?
Yeah.
What is the must thing to do on a road trip?
If you're a golfer and you know the right people, play Eastlake, where Bobby Jones learned how to play golf, is pretty cool. And they played huge tournaments there. The Tour Championship was there for such a long time. I would say that. Otherwise, while you're there, I mean, it's just a great big city. There's beautiful parks like right in the Midtown area, where you can go to a park where you got skyline views and then have great food. You got to hit up my boy Al B's Grindhouse, which is also Nick Chubb's favorite, for a burger. It's just it's an awesome town. It has everything you want.
It's a big city, man. It's a big
city.
Huge,
Big
huge,
city,
yeah.
Big city.
Player you want from their current roster with the Atlanta Falcons. Initially, we didn't even look in this. I think Drake London would make a lot of sense. I'd like him because I like weapons, as you know.
Yeah, it's either Drake London or Kyle Pitts,
Kyle
right?
Pitts,
And then Kyle Pitts hasn't really been what maybe people thought he would be. So I'm gonna let me just dive in.
I
want
to check on the defense real quick to make sure.
Well, AJ Terrell is awesome.
Yeah. We're good at corner though.
We are good
we
at
could live
corner.
with that.
Grady Jarrett
Yeah, Grady would
be
check
somebody
a box
that you
for
wanted.
sure.
He's just older. Give me Drake London
I
going
take
into
London.
his second year. Sure. Drake
London on a rookie contract.
Yep.
Sold. That is absolutely the answer on that.
Yeah.
All right. Had a freeze up on the internet there. All-time favorite player, please. I think we know, Mr. George. Mine would be Prime.
Dion.
Prime.
Yeah. Dion would be Dion would
Prime's
be second.
first game where he fumbles the punt and then picks it up. His very first punt return, he fumbles it, then picks it up and takes it to the
house.
barn
Yeah.
at Fulton County Stadium with the baseball field there.
Yeah.
Come on.
There are actually a lot of Falcons that I really, really like, and I know that people.
It's a really cool franchise. I
great.
mean, Vic was about as cool as it got there.
Yeah.
Dion was unbelievable. Rison was pretty cool.
Van Moon.
Jamal Anderson was cool. George
Dirty
is your
Bird.
boy. No, they've had some really Julio.
End of Julio Jones.
Yeah.
End of his career, even though he played there, and I think maybe did more there than people realize. Tony Gonzalez.
Oh yeah.
I certainly associate him. Obviously, he's a Chief first and foremost, but I associate him with Falcons. He played there the final 5 years of his career and was still very much a stud at that point. 4 straight Pro Bowls to close out his career, and was first-team All-Pro at the age of 36 in 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
awesome.
Stunning.
Playoff team, no. But here's what's interesting with them. SD Orlando, they're obviously not a contender. I don't think they're a pretender either. What exactly are they?
Well,
I mean, the NFC South is easy. The NFC is easy. But like,
if they can get
Ritter, they really need him to go.
They need him to go, but they were not shy at all this offseason. Their big signing was Jesse Bates. 4 years, $64 million. They also signed David Onyemata, 3 years, $24 as an interior defensive line. They re-signed Chris Lindstrom, their guard, 5 years, $105. That's a big contract. They re-signed a tackle, Taylor McGarry, 3 years, $34 million. They brought in Heineke, 2 years, $14 million. They brought in a linebacker at $7.5 million a year, Caden Ellis. They got Jonnu Smith via trade. They were very active. And we'll talk with the Orlando. I mean, Tampa's in disarray. The Saints are the favorites, right? And then Carolina, we'll see when they get their quarterback. By the way, it feels like, and we got to get to Orlando, but it just feels like there's all of a sudden it was so Stroud, and now it's like so Bryce Young, which is so weird.
Yeah, he's now the betting pick. Okay, we'll get into you went over the biggest off season. We'll get to the draft picks and all that stuff with the Orlando coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
We're here for all pro
All right, talking about the Atlanta Falcons, and of course, when we talk about the Falcons, we prefer to do so with our good friend D'Orlando Ledbetter. He joins us on the Twisted Tea Hotline. D'Orlando, thank you so much. You got news today, man. I mean, the Falcons swing a deal for Jeff Okudah. We were talking about it earlier in the show before we get into the big prognostication of the Falcons on the season, but I love this. It feels like a very little risk, high reward deal for the Falcons. What do you make of it?
Oh,
Sad.
right.
Hate to see it.
Well, how about it?
Do we have him? Is he connected?
I don't know.
We don't know.
He's here.
He just can't hear us?
Hello.
There he is. Hey.
D'Orlando.
Our
What's
great
up, man?
friend. Did you hear the introduction? Did you hear the question, my friend?
Well, how about it?
What?
All right.
Here's what we should do on this. Let's disconnect with D'Orlando and then get
Let's
it
get
back
him
on,
Yeah.
and then we'll go from there.
And in the meantime, I'm going to hit you with a great.
Got it.
Did you know? Did you know? Speaking of the Atlanta Falcons,
Mm-hmm.
that in the year, what a glorious year this was. In the year 1995, a man by the name of Jeff George threw for 4,143 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 picks.
Yep.
Led them to the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
And in that playoff game, at Lambeau Field, he threw for 366, 2 touchdowns. Now you fast forward, pretty good, losing effort to the great Brett Favre.
Yep.
Fast forward to 1999, at 32, he's the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, Randy Moss, Chris Carter.
Mm-hmm.
2 games in the playoffs that year, 2 games in 99. Can you ballpark just yards and touchdowns and rating ballparks, just ballpark of the great Jeff George?
I'm going to say the average yards was 332. The average touchdowns was 2.5. The rating was, those days the ratings were a little different, so I'll go lower. I'll go 96, which would be ridiculous. Those are really high.
635 for the yards, so
Okay,
close.
pretty close.
Yep. So 317.5.
We got Darryl back.
7 touchdowns, 1 pick, rating of 109.
Yeesh. Unbelievable. He's your boy. You love him.
my
He's
guy.
got these moments.
Yeah,
do
sure
we
does.
have D'Orlando back now, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution?
Yes, he
there
should
he's,
be
there
on
he's
now.
good.
D'Orlando, you
Yes,
got us?
present. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
I feel like D'Orlando can't hear us, though.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. So,
D'Orlando, can you hear us? Give us a sign.
yeah, he doesn't have us. All right.
Oh, we got a computer sound. That's good.
So it feels like we had this maybe 2 weeks ago on the show. We had this as well, where we would have a guest, and then we couldn't get them on. Yeah, I don't think we got it.
Hello?
Hello. We can hear you. Can you hear us, D'Orlando?
No,
No, he can't. All right.
no. So disconnect D'Orlando. Apologize to him.
Apologize to him.
He's
And
one of
us,
our
really.
all-time favorites, and to us, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's he's an all-time favorite. We'd love to
should
have
get
him
Glenn
on.
in.
Have Glenn Cook come in here.
Yeah,
come on in, Glenn. Get in here.
could
And
use you. We
you
could
got
use
a couple of minutes.
He gave a quick. He looked back like maybe. Was there? And it looks like the powers that be exiting a draft meeting there. Well, that was sad.
This happened like 2-3 weeks ago. Remember?
I do.
It could have been me and Gibby it happened to, but it was you
No,
and I.
I was here.
Yeah, you and I were here, and we kept trying to get somebody on, and we couldn't connect the dots on it. So that's, it happens. But you can't keep doing it until we get it sorted out.
No, let's.
That's the operation on that.
Why don't we do? Let's bring Baco in, and we'll interview Baco as though he covered the Falcons.
As though you were D'Orlando.
I don't know how to answer that.
We'll call him.
I just like talking
we'll
to
call him
Baco.
B. Orlando.
I like it. Yeah.
That's what they would do on SNL.
They would do
Got
that.
B. Orlando Ledbetter here. What do you think about the Okudah trade, B. Orlando?
I was surprised by it. I like Jeff coming out of Ohio State, but he's had some trouble sticking in the lineup for the Falcons. So
Very good job.
I get it. Or for the Lions, I'm sorry.
Yes, he's now a Falcon. But
Now a Falcon.
do you view B. Orlando, is this in your mind, a low risk, potentially high upside acquisition by the team you cover?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's got potential. He's got talent. So maybe he just needs a new place, and he can get back to his old self.
It's an old radio trick there.
Yeah.
When you want someone to basically just co-sign your thoughts, you frame it that way or the way that I did to D. Orlando. And then it's easy for him to say, well, yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. Is that.
I'm going to go with a more
what
open
an answer.
I'm going to go more open-ended here for B. Orlando.
Yeah.
B. Orlando, which player on your team do you think would look the best in brown and orange?
Oh, boy.
Find out if he was paying attention last segment or not.
Paying attention earlier?
Yeah, when we did this, we posed this
assigned
question to ourselves.
We did pose this question. Yep.
I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about.
It could have been anybody.
Could be
You
anybody
pick
that's on the
you want.
current
Anybody on the
Falcons
Falcons roster would win.
I got nothing.
Nothing. All right.
This
We
is
like Drake London.
big picture. Every once in a while, you when you get out of the viewing everything through the AFC, the prism of the AFC. I mean, you think about the way we view this team. We view it as, okay, we've got to put a team together that can beat Joe Burrow, first and foremost, can beat a Baltimore team with Lamar Jackson, and beat a Pittsburgh team that continues to make the postseason even though the roster doesn't feel like it should. So that's what you're staring up at going into next year from a Browns perspective. But then beyond that, you have everything that is the AFC. So you think about Denver, I'm sure, assumes that they're bouncing all the way back.
Absolutely.
With Russell Wilson. They paid Sean Payton to be the coach. They think
That's
they're
right.
bouncing all the way back.
Yep.
Vegas went and got Jimmy Grapes.
Jimmy Grapes.
So he's there.
Handsome.
He is. Looks good in that color. Herbert's with the Chargers.
Yeah.
Kansas City's the Super Bowl champs.
That's right.
Houston's completely rebuilding.
But could get good quickly.
Not next year, though, but yes. Indy could get leapfrogged again. They may just sit there at 4 and not get the quarterback
Stick
they
a
want
fork in them.
at all. They feel like they're going nowhere quick. Tennessee feels washed to me. Jacksonville's ascending. And we went
Trevor
over the
Lawrence.
north. The East, if it goes as planned, Rodgers will be quarterbacking that team with the Jets.
That's right. Josh Allen.
Very, very good. Josh Allen at the top of the division in Buffalo, and then Miami underneath him with Tua. Miami's probably got the best quarterback. They might have the best roster in the NFL. It's just Tua.
Yep.
Can he be healthy? And he was really good when he was healthy.
Boy, was he.
You just don't know. And New England is obviously the bottom feeder in that division, but it feels like Belichick will still get him to 8 and 9, which is what they were a year ago. Now, you'd paratroop into the NFC with me.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, by the way, going back to tie the ribbon on that, everybody in the AFC West thinks they can win the Super Bowl. That's 4. You've got probably 3 or 4 in our division. That's 7. You've got 3 in the AFC East. That's 10. And you have 1 in the AFC South, which is the Jags. 11 teams.
11
teams win
teams.
the Super Bowl. There will be 7 that make the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay.
And
NFC.
that's 11 teams. To the key point there, folks, to listen to is that can win the Super Bowl.
Right.
In those organizations, if you went into any of those 11 organizations, they would say, some of them are lock stock. Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, we're ready to go, ready made. We know what we are. But every other organization in the AFC that you mentioned is saying with a break here or there, or if this guy develops, if this guy stays healthy, we can win it. Now you do that same conversation in the NFC. Because I jumped on it. I said Falcons pretender. They're not. I don't know what they are. They were 7-10 last year.
Yeah, and they can
team.
run it, and they're physical. And the guard Lidstrom, they signed the 5-year $120.
Right.
He was a Pro Bowler. They ran it all over us. Algier looks like a nice rookie. They've got their draft picks this year. They've got good picks. 8th overall, 44th, 75th, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 7th. So at 8, they can get an impact player for sure.
So we'll start in that division. Atlanta, you just went over. The Saints have Derek Carr. So they are the favorite in the South. Carolina's picking number 1 overall. They'll have a rookie. They have some pieces, but they're a long ways. Tampa Bay's their tank. They're all in. They want to pick Caleb Williams. They want to pick Drake May. They want to pick number 1 next year in the draft. That's very clearly, by what they've done at quarterback, that's very clearly what the Buccaneers are doing in the NFC South. Let's go to the NFC West. The Cardinals do not have Kyler for about half the season.
Yeah, and they're supposedly trading DeAndre Hopkins too.
Right. So they're bottom. By the way, if they do tank, what they do with Kyler will be fascinating because Caleb Williams and May at the top of next year,
better
locked in.
Yep.
So what they do is fascinating. I don't know what the Rams are going to be. They're 5-12 last year. Who knows?
Yeah.
If Stafford comes back, what's that look like? their roster needs to be replenished across the board. They've traded Ramsey. Bobby Wagner's not coming back. That roster is, I don't know what exactly they're going to do. I think they'd be best off. That honestly is a team. If Matt Stafford wants to play and is healthy, they should trade him.
That's right. They should be Tankapalooza.
They should be Tankapalooza too. Yeah,
they should have
won the Super Bowl. They should trade Stafford, Cup.
Listen, it would not surprise me, and I don't even know if this is even feasible. And that's the other part where it becomes, okay, maybe this isn't feasible. Let me try to pull this up real quickly, but see what could be done here. Because this is now Stafford's third year in
he won
with
it.
The Rams.
His first year, last year was hurt.
So let's just imagine a scenario where you're the Dolphins and Tua gets knocked out in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that you can't go forward with him. Are you able to – that feels like the team that would make that trade.
That's the one.
Dolphins they have about $2 million in cap space. But I'm sure if something like that came, they would be able to figure something out. Yeah, they could free up $13 million on Byron Jones alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the spot there if something were to happen. And it's more likely than not, because it's what's happened in his career, that Tua won't make it through the year than that he will.
I mean, it has to be.
It's happened every year.
Exponentially.
Yeah. So Seattle's ascending. We've talked about them last week. The 49ers are in a great spot. They win the Super Bowl last year. That's a squad ready to go.
I don't know if they can trade Stafford.
Or they're in the NFC Championship.
I don't
game.
know if it's possible.
Without, just because of the money?
Yeah, the trade. Let's see, post June 1st trade. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could. With the trade, I guess they could. It'd be about $20 million on his cap number is $20 million. Then it balloons to 50. But they could do it. They could trade him.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, that seems like
totally.
seems like the smart thing to do if he's willing to and he wants to play. Like, is he going to want to deal with all that? It doesn't seem like it. He has no ties to L.A.
Yeah, no, you're right. So Niners, Super Bowl contender, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then you go to and Seattle ascending. They're very
Playoff
nimble.
team.
They can do
they're a playoff team.
Absolutely, they're in the mix. But I don't think they view themselves as a Super Bowl. Maybe in the NFC, which is the point. Bears, no. Packers, no. Lions, we talked about them yesterday.
Yes.
Certainly ascending. I don't know if they view themselves as Super Bowl. Usually you don't go from 9-8 to the Super Bowl, but who knows? In the NFC, maybe. Minnesota, 13-4 last year, but to me, trending that way.
I think that they're going to be, as they were overvalued last year, I think going into the season they're going to end up being undervalued, and they're still going to be formidable, but they're not a threat to win the Super Bowl.
No. Commies, no. Giants, no.
Giants probably feel like they are.
Yeah, they might. I guess they paid Jones.
They went to the playoffs last year.
Cowboys feel like they are.
It.
And then
Eagles,
Philly is.
For sure.
So you just did the exercise there. There's how many did we come up with?
We're just talking about like belief, because like the Steelers really
have
aren't,
belief.
but we counted them.
Yeah.
So
Seattle, San Francisco, Saints, Lions, Vikings, Philly, Dallas, Giants. That's 8.
Yeah. And
of those, 2 feel real. Philly and
Yes.
San Francisco. In the AFC, probably 8 feel real.
Yes.
And only 7 make the postseason.
Yes. That's right.
So that's how you get to a spot with Atlanta. We've talked about Carolina already, where you feel like if you're in the NFC, you're a quick fix away from being right into the mix. Seattle went last year at this time, we thought they were going to tank.
Yeah.
We thought they'd tank. They went from tank to 2 first-round draft picks this year for Russell Wilson. They get Geno Smith off the scrap heap, and now they're in the mix.
Yep. It feels to me that that's exactly why Atlanta should have gone for Lamar Jackson.
Agreed.
You get Lamar Jackson, you're, in my opinion, the favorite to win your division.
With that run game
yes.
and him.
And a big guy in London, big guy
Pitts
in Pitts.
in London.
It feels like it fits. The fact that they're not interested to me is wild.
Do you think they really aren't, or do you think they're just saying that outwardly?
Why would you just not say anything?
I don't know.
Why would you just
I don't
not say
know. It
anything?
just seems like such a no-brainer to put him there with Arthur Smith's offense.
Yeah.
His ability to run, the type of stuff that they would do, their ability to run the football as a team, the weapons, the whole thing just seems like a home run. Contenders like that in the NFC.
Yeah.
I mean, it just,
I agree.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But this is, when you're going around the NFC, you see the ease with which you can navigate that, and you see the dominance that Philly and San Francisco could have for a run. By the way, we had San Francisco Super Bowl contender. We don't even know who's quarterback them. It's almost, they're so good everywhere else it doesn't matter.
Right.
Whether it's Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. Either one.
Or Sam I Am Darnold.
Or Sam I Am. Can you imagine if Kyle does that curveball? Goes that way?
He just, like, I don't think people are properly in awe of what happened with Brock Purdy last year. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, right?
That's right.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yep.
Last pick of the draft. Last pick at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
Passed over many times. Number 262 overall. I want to look this
Well,
up.
you do
Okay.
that. We're gonna.
Take a
We have
break.
so
Yeah,
much
well,
more to
something,
come.
yes,
You actually do. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, Z, what do you have on Mr. Purdy?
So Brock Purdy's last year at Iowa State, 71% completions, 7.8 yards per attempt, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's at Iowa State in the Big 12. Is the Big 12 known for playing defense?
No.
Okay.
I will say this real quick before you go on. He was offered a scholarship to Alabama at a high school, chose to stay at Iowa State because it could play better, and was part of an Iowa State team that I want to say one of the years with Breece Hall, they were like preseason top 7.
Okay.
So it didn't go the way, but he was a known guy.
I'm not even suggesting it from that standpoint.
I'm just saying from a talent standpoint. To your point, though, the Big 12 plays no defense. None.
No defense.
2 minutes.
And his career, 67% completions, under 8 yards an attempt, and his touchdown to interception ratio was 19-8 in that last year.
Yep.
Then he jumps up to the NFL,
the National Football League.
And in 5 games completes 67% of his passes, averages 8.1 yards per attempt, so more yards per attempt in the NFL than he did his last year at Iowa State. 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, the best touchdown to interception ratio at any point of his life, and had a quarterback rating of 107.3. I mean, the guy just absolutely stunning to me. And then in the playoffs, had a rating of 110 and completed 65%, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and obviously got knocked out. That was just in 2 games. I don't think people really appreciate what happened for that to happen and a quarterback come in at that point. He led the NFL, I think, in complete percentage, yards per attempts, and rating in his stretch. It's stunning. So
And,
I don't care.
we
who
don't know
is
what's
there.
going to happen with Trey.
Yeah.
I mean, what he could be.
Right.
Who knows? I mean, he's got a higher ceiling for sure. And if memory serves, wasn't Trey Lance like 20 when they drafted? He was really young.
Yes.
Very, very young when they drafted him.
Yeah.
All right, the next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.